Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So, first off, thanks for everybody for some of the kind words and stuff. Obviously, family's first, business is second. Grown up nerd toy cars are about fifth, but we're still trying to make it a priority. And even though we're not going to Las Vegas, we are going to look for events next year, and we are going to prepare our vintage fleet for those events. So, like I said, we're exchanging some stuff out. We're getting some new stuff in. And one of the new rides is the Losi 22 rear motor 1.0. So this is the car that kind of started the vintage scene for me. Obviously released in 2011, so I don't know how vintage it exactly is. But I was racing a Losi 5.0. Was finishing really well and stuff. Just wasn't as fun. The mid-motor cars just weren't as fun to drive. And I don't know how to really explain it other than they're not fun. And I acquired a Losi 22 rear motor, and that's where I was hooked. And like I said, I made kind of a joke saying, well, I'm just going to keep stepping it back until, I finish last or, get lapped 8 times and stuff like that. And lo and behold, that's how RZ Vintage started, and all the cars accumulated, and they're actually pretty competitive. But what we are going to do is we are going to build a rear motor 5.0. And this is our platform. So we have a brand new built 5.0 coming. I got this car for $140 off eBay shipped. And I got a brand new assembled Losi 5.0 for $180 shipped. So I'm about 320 into this car. Not a big deal because we will sell like the shocks off this. Some of the parts, the front arm assembly, the rear arm assembly, little things here and there. But for the most part, we're keeping the chassis, the rear shock tower, the transmission, wing mounts, everything else has got to go. So we're waiting for our 5.0 to come, so I'll start breaking this down. But this car came, and it's in pretty decent shape. You can tell it's kind of dusty, but the chassis isn't too bad. It's been ran a little bit, but no deep gouges or anything like that. So we will get a screw kit for it, get some screws in there. It's got some nice stuff. It's got some aluminum caster blocks in the front, aluminum front bulkhead, which I believe we will keep that bulkhead, and we'll convert it to 5.0 steering, a 5.0 front, arms, shocks, all that. And we have a carbon fiber shock tower coming. And we did get a Losi spur gear. Our ESC came in today. Our motor came yesterday. But buying off Amazon, you got to watch out because someone unsoldered a motor, put it back in the package, returned it, and then that's what got shipped to me. Because apparently Amazon workers have an IQ of about 3 and can't realize when someone stuffs used stuff into a box and send it back that you should not send that out to other customers. So we sent that out today and returned that, and they are 1 day shipping another motor, so we should have that tomorrow, our surplus rocket. So everything looks, like I said, in pretty good shape. It's just a little dusty. So what we will do is, and let me know below some thoughts on videos or what exactly you want to see. My thought was I could either do a live wrenching on it, answering questions. I was going to do a video, part 1's introduction, part 2 is maybe like a front end build, and then part 3 would be like the rear end, and then part 4 would be kind of all of our electronics, layout and stuff like that. So getting a servo in here. We'll probably do the same thing we did like on our Durango, is a servo, receiver, transponder, shorty battery. We will cut the tray out. We'll put an ESC in the back, run our wires through to our surplus rocket. We already have a new slipper disc set coming, so that's should be here. I have some slipper pads somewhere that I gotta dig out, got a servo horn, so all that stuff's ready to go. And like I said, I'll probably have to talk to Brian Kraft because I am almost sure you can get rid of the sliding rack and put in a 5.0 rack. So I'm gonna have to see. The only thing that kind of sucks is it's missing the steering link, so I will have to fab something up for that. Not a big deal, just more of an annoyance. But with our 5.0 coming, if we do take that rack, we should be able to do that. And then, like I said, what I'm going to mainly do tonight is pull some stuff apart, clean it up. It's got aluminum rear pivots, a 3-degree in the rear. Transmission seems to spin smooth, so I think the gears and stuff are okay, but the diff in the 5.0 should be the exact same, and these diff out drives are shot. So when we rebuild that, we'll get the diff out drive swapped. And like I said, luckily the 5.0 that's coming is brand new. So all those parts will be new, which will be great because it is going to be probably about 70 to 75% of the car. We're going to keep the chassis, some of the front support, and the rear transmission, and that's about it for the rear and the shock tower. And that's about it. Everything else we'll graph over from our 5.0 and go from there. I may have to reach out to Randy in Australia and have him take some pictures of my old 1.0 so I can reference exactly what I did. So hopefully we can build this one a little bit better. I forget what I did with my battery. Maybe I left a battery strap like this. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll get a battery in there. Shorty Lipo, put the plugs at the back. Like I said, set it up really like a Durango. And let me know below if you'd be interested in seeing a last of the rear motor shootout. And what I mean by that is Durango versus Losi versus perhaps like either Associated B4 or Associated B5. Obviously, the B5 was released later than the 22 and the Durango. Both those were released in, around 2011, 2012. With that being later, so is it fair, or should we get a B4 and clap out a B4 and have a Y2K last of the rear motor shootout? Or, like I said, I suggested maybe a generational shootout, maybe do every single two-wheel drive Associated on the track, and then try to do the same thing with the Losis as well. So, yeah, this should clean up fairly well. So if you're looking for original Losi 22 parts, man, you might want to hit eBay because these are going to be coming on there. And like I said, everything appears in pretty good shape. Nothing's really too chewed up or even loose. So we will start the disassembly tonight, and then I should have the 5.0 here. Oh, I think it arrives either Thursday or Friday. I should have that, and we'll start graphing parts over. But let me know, Losi guys, down below if you're interested. And like I said, how we either break up the videos, or maybe we break up the videos and maybe one night we do a live, maybe the electronics install while I'm soldering stuff up. Maybe that's a good opportunity to have a live. We'll have everything figured out. You can ask any questions if you're looking at building one of these. And what we did, I can show it on camera. And then, like I said, we can actually get the thing maybe up and running on that live as we solder things together and get this thing taken care of. Do have a new Buggy body in the background, so that came as well. So I'll have to get that painted. And then, like I said, should have everything else here fairly quick. A-main orders come in Friday, I think, for some of the parts I need. And we'll go from there. But yeah, like I said, we'll get the 5.0 in, and that's the main part we'll need is getting the 5.0 to graph those parts over. But what I will do is, like, I'll probably take off the shocks tonight, clean them up, make sure those are good, and then I will probably drop those on eBay just to get rid of them. And then I'll continue to work on some of the other things, cleaning some stuff up perhaps, seeing if there's anything bent that I'll need to replace. But like I said, most of the parts are being replaced with 5.0 parts. And like I said, even parts of the transmission, the out drives, I believe the diff is exactly the same on all the 22s. On the 22X, they changed it, but on the 22s, from what I could tell, looked to be the same. So I'll have to cross-reference and see that when it actually comes. And like I said, those are all questions we can answer on a live or a video. But I think an introduction video, which is this one right now, doing a front-end video, getting the front-end conversion done, doing a rear-end conversion. And then, like I said, maybe we do a live because the live seems to be getting a little popular. We got rims coming. I got the low-profile tires. I'm going to run those on this one as well. I got a 72 spur gear, and I probably should have got maybe a 75. I think I ordered a 75 or something. I think I ordered an assortment, but we got a 72 over there, so we'll be running like a 72-28 or something on this to wheel this thing around. And then I am going to see... I got to check the spacing, or if I'm trying to figure out a fan mount, and so I will have to check Z3D, but I think the Losi one might work using this screw, or a top mount one may work from like an RC10. I'll have to see. And I may have to adjust the holes or something like that, but this is pretty close to a stealth transmission spacing. So if that's the case, the fan would stick out here and that may work. Or we put in the Losi one here, which has a slight tilt to it, and that may work as well. So we'll start cleaning some stuff up. Like I said, I may get the turnbuckle set on eBay, get the shocks on eBay, and then start busting out like rear arm. The rear arms are nothing special, and they're just the plastic hubs. The CVAs are not in great shape, so I may just sell them as a rear assembly and a front assembly, call it good, and then keep the stuff we need, which is basically rear motor guard, transmission, shock tower, wing. That's it for the rear end. Other than that, the arms, CVDs, all that will be off of 5.0, or I know Brian Kraft, Roar National Champion 2 years in a row with his 22 rear motor, ran, I think at the end, before he went to Florida, S&S Hobbies is now his home track. He was running 22S drag rear arms in there, and it seemed to be doing pretty well, especially on high grip. So we may try that as well, but we're just going to convert all the 5.0 stuff, and we may tweak it from there. On the front end, obviously, we're going to do all 5.0, arms, caster blocks, turnbuckles, where like I said, I think the steering drops in with a little modification or not much needed at all. We'll see. If we have to keep it that, not the end of the world. Carbon fiber shock tower coming in. I forget the brand. It's off A main, so carbon fiber shock tower. And then we will continue to, we'll dump over the 12 millimeter new shocks from a 5.0, get those on there as well. And get this thing cleaned up, but we'll probably get rid of, the tires are in actually really pretty decent shapes, Jig Concepts barcodes, and some Losi pink taper pins, so I'll probably put those cheap on eBay. Like I said, the shocks, and the turnbuckle set probably, and then we'll see what else comes in. I did order, you can still get some stuff off A-Main for the 22 series because it does cross from 22 1.0 all the way to the 5.0. So, but you can still get this top deck piece. So I ordered a new top deck piece just to put one of those in there. The 5.0 bumper works. I believe all you have to do is trim. There's something you got to trim on the bottom, I think, to get it to work, but that goes right on as well. I can remember from my 22, so pretty excited to have a 22 back. And like I said, got this at what I feel is a decent price, especially kind of looking at it now. And then the 22 5.0 that was brand new for 180, I thought was a hell of a deal. That all the assemblies are there, and I really just got to kind of swap parts over. And so that should save me time, and it should save a ton of money too, because Losi 5.0 12 millimeter shocks are, $100 on eBay. So $80 more. I got arms, caster blocks, tie rods, all that stuff in there, a whole complete diff, which a complete diff for the 22, I think on A-Main was $45 or $50 or more. If you wanted to do the tungsten balls, I think that was a $65 kit. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to get this going. So clean it up tonight, get some more stuff coming. We still have more stuff coming, obviously, this week. And I can't think of what it is. Something for the Durango. I don't remember. But we're going to be working on some conversion for a Durango as well. And then obviously not going to Las Vegas this weekend. I don't know if my wife will give me a hall pass. Chambers races next weekend, but I have my concealed weapons permit class on Sunday, which is all day because the state of Colorado doesn't believe in your freedom or the Second Amendment, and it believes that you should have to renew your license and take a competency test every 5 years, which in some ways I do agree with. Even though I am a huge gun guy, I believe going out there and qualifying to own a gun, I don't know. Is it an infringement on your rights? Yeah. But is it probably a good idea? Yeah. Just like a driver's license, right? When do people get too old to driving? Well, when they can't see, they have a hard time seeing at night or judging distance, stuff like that. Same thing with the gun world, right? If you're going to give someone a gun, it's just weird because you have to do a proficiency test anyway in the state of Colorado to get your permit. Same thing when I got my permit in North Dakota. South Dakota, you just went to the sheriff's office. You're like, yo, I got this revolver. and they hand you a concealed weapons permit over the counter. And then when I came to Colorado, I had to take a class, same thing. And this is basically just a refresher course. The shooting is a little bit more stringent. So 6-inch disc at 5 or 10 yards. Either way, I don't care. My Trijicon RMR mounted to my Glock 47 was a Radiant Ramjet Afterburner X300. I took it shooting this weekend. Took my daughter. That thing was spot on, so I'm not too worried about that. But anyway, back to the Losi. Losi guys, let me know what you want to see, because the Losi content seems to be some of the best content besides the Tamiya. But if till Tamiya comes out with a Dynastorm, I don't know what else to do there on the Tamiya side. So we will begin this journey. Video's getting a little long, but we're getting parts in. We'll get this thing cleaned up. And like I said, let me know what you want to see below. If you just want to see, different parts of videos doing the front end, rear end, or if we do the front end, rear end, and then perhaps we do a Losi live edition while we're putting the electronics in. And that way, if there's any questions or anything like that pop up, I can go through those on the live as we're getting our motor in and everything soldered up. And then last but not least, I brought up the B7, and while I was throwing it in the trash can, someone digged and said, I'd love to see more Losi or B7 content. And I believe it was Guru's World. So go look at his channel. But in the panic of missing out, I was probably one of the first people to buy one of the 3-gear transmissions when it went live on Associated site. Got that in. I don't know, because my B7 has machined Avid gears and ceramic bearings, and it spins super, super smooth. And I don't know durability. I don't think that this is necessarily going to be a huge upgrade in a buggy. In a truck, it makes sense. The casing's plastic. I have carbon cases in there because when the B7 first came out, the transmissions were having a lot of problem, and a lot of people figured out it was get a carbon transmission and get machined idler gears from whoever. I went with Avid, got an Associated carbon trans case. It's been perfect. It's been so smooth. And the other thing is they give you a new C block, which I have R1 Works C block. So I don't really feel like getting rid of that. So now I'm trying to contemplate whether I even want to do this. The other thing that someone else noticed is your diff height adjusters are now notched. So I have the fancy aluminum diff height adjusters, and I guess you have to Dremel out the case to get rid of that notch because it's hard to see, but there's a little notch in there, and I guess that keeps these from rotating, but the case should keep it from rotating. So I don't understand why that notch is in the case. They have it top and bottom. Maybe it's to keep alignment in there, but that's why I went to the aluminum, to keep alignment. So on this diff case, if you run the aluminum diff certs, from my understanding, you have to get rid of those notches that are in the case. And I don't know if I'm going to do it, so I'm not opening this because I was like, well, maybe I'll just sell it, but maybe we got to put it in there. Let me know below, and we'll get that on our never ran B7 that we've had for a while in the background there. But maybe it's time to run the B7 and see what my pace is with the new car versus pace with some of these older cars as well. So, yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Associated. Did ship out pretty quick. I think I bought this on Friday or Thursday morning. Came today. They shipped it out same day, and here we are. So, again, guys, let me know your comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 1,000, and we'll see you on the next one.